Hi everyone. I'm here with Bea Waterfield, the CEO and franchisor of Baby College. Bea, great to have you on.
Hi, really nice to be here. Thanks, Dugan.
No worries. Right. So, firstly, just so we can help everyone understand, what does Baby College offer your customers? Probably the best way of maybe phrasing that question. What do you do as a business?
So, Baby College is offers a very comprehensive, holistic baby and parent development and sensory program. So it very much focuses on nurturing early childhood development for the babies. But what I think is really special about Baby College is that we're really just as much about nurturing the parents as well and giving them confidence, giving them ideas, giving them inspiration so that they can really make great choices and become the parents that they always wish they could be. So it's the clue. You're going to ask me about the name. I know you are. So the clue's in the name, Baby College. Where would you choose to go to learn all about your baby? Obviously, you'd go to Baby College. So it's parents learning alongside their infants, having a great time together, a mixed program. There are a lot of development and sensory programs out there now. That wasn't the case when we first started 23 years ago. But really, like I said, the focus is on giving the parents the tools and the confidence and the knowledge so that they can be their baby's first and best teacher.
I love that. Okay, so yeah, that's something I haven't, it's something I don't think about. I've been to a lot of these baby classes. I've got a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old now, so I'm
How
kind
have
of beyond.
you?
I'm beyond that. But I remember going to sensory classes and
You're
you know,
still
take,
important, again, as a
yeah.
parent.
But what definitely what you've said there really strikes a chord because as a new parent, you are learning, like you're reading books and you're talking to people that have older kids and you're trying to figure out how to do the best with your child. And so I love that angle because I haven't seen that angle actually, where yeah, you're talking about you're actually it's like the parents are going to school as well and you're ensuring that they have more tools in their toolbox to help
Yeah.
their
You
children.
wouldn't dream of
Um,
doing anything in life, anything else in life, without learning about it first, without sort of, studying it a little bit. You don't even get a dog without going to puppy training classes, and you certainly don't drive a car without having driving lessons. So, I mean, it really does make sense that there's something out there where parents can actually learn about their baby and about how to best support their little one's development without just having to read boring old books. So, and I know there are lots of classes out there, but like I said, there's really nothing like this. For example, when my children were born, my son's almost 25, and there was this, and baby college wasn't around then either. I would have absolutely loved to take my kids to baby college. I read every book that was out there. And I wish I could have learned alongside other parents, whilst having fun, whilst with my child, um, and rather than the sort of more traditional way. So I think classes in general offer a really great opportunity for parents to learn and to gain confidence and knowledge.
yeah, no,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I learned a lot. Still learning, never stop
yeah,
learning, for sure.
you always have to stay just one step ahead, don't you? And
Yeah,
and actually,
yeah,
personally, my favourite age of my children was always really the one that they were at the time.
yeah,
It just
yeah.
got better and better until about 14.
Yeah, yeah. There's definitely an age. There are ages where you go, oh, I wish they were four again. But then
Oh,
you know what? Sometimes when they were four, they're a bit of a pain as well.
and
But
I
there you go. That's
I
just
absolutely love the 0 to 3s is my favorite because I know the most about that. And I think you really do enjoy it
yeah,
more and really get more out of it and find it rewarding the more you
yeah.
know about it. It's the same with
Yes,
everything.
absolutely. So look, you mentioned 23 years Baby College has been going. So take me back to
Take you
when
back to the
and
year
who started,
2000.
yeah, like well, who started Baby College and then how you became involved and how you've got to where you've got to now with Baby College.
So Baby College started the brand Baby College in the year 2000. So the very first Baby College franchises were available from the year 2000. Um, but before that, the founder, Alison, who she had a sort of physical education background, and she had children who had learning developmental delays herself, and she was really passionate about how could a parent best support their children, and in her case that had, you know, actual sort of dyspraxia, dyslexia type problems. So she used her physical education background to study neurodevelopmental sort of practicing, and she actually worked as a practitioner for 15 years before setting up Baby College. So she herself was very experienced, and this program, the Baby College program, as it was in 2000, really came out of her work with children with developmental delays. What she realized was that she was seeing children who were younger and younger and younger, and actually realizing that the earlier that children get this extra level of stimulation and education and support, particularly from their parents, then the better their outcomes were going to be. So she was seeing 3-year-olds, 2-year-olds. So she decided that it would be a great idea to put together a program that could be run in a fun class with parents coming along with all children. These games, these exercises were beneficial for all babies, regardless of whether they had problems or not. So she put together this original Baby College program. Like I said, that was in the year 2000. I was actually one of the first franchisees. So I actually started as a franchisee. I discovered this program. It was running in Reading. I was in Oxford. And thought this would have been amazing when my kids were little. I would have loved it. And I just absolutely saw the benefit of it. I was looking for something to do when my children went to school. So I wanted to go back to work. I'd been a project manager. I had a maths degree. Very science based. I'd worked in multimedia. So I didn't want to do any of those things, because I didn't really care about any of those things. What I really cared about was my children. I'd had two babies by then. So 2004, I was looking for opportunities. I was trying to decide what to do, and I saw Baby College advertised as a franchise. I thought, that is absolutely me. That's what I want to do. So I brought Baby College to Oxford in 2004, 2000. We started January 2005, our first classes.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's how I found it, and
Yes.
then I've taken it from there.
So just before that, then, how long did it take from Baby College to go from a business to a franchise business, if you like? So at what point did they franchise the business?
So I think she was running her own classes up until about 2000, and she met another lady who said, "Oh, this would be a really good franchise business." There weren't very many children's activity franchises around at the time. There were some really well established ones that are still around, like Tumble Tots. Jamboree had been around for a while, but that's a slightly different model. There was very little like this, so none of the ones that you might recognise today were around then. So to be honest, it was quite a brave decision that they made to do it as a franchise, and they did it through the BFA, the British Franchising Association. So they set it up really well, probably overspecified, if you ask my opinion now. So I think they put quite a lot of money into setting it up. And I think the first they ran a pilot area in Reading from 2000, and I think they sold their first license in the next neighbouring sort of area of Bracknell in about 2001, and then they sold their original area too soon in Reading as well. So, and then the main big first launch was 2004, and that's where I found it.
That's where you found it. And so a question I'd written down was about you and kind of the word franchising, and it's really interesting, because it's really interesting for me to ask and to understand, well, when did people actually understand what franchising really was? Because
I didn't. Yeah, I had no idea.
You had no idea.
I wasn't looking for a franchise. I was looking to run my own business. I knew that I wanted to run my own business. I knew that I had project management skills. I wanted to find something I really cared about, and I really wanted to set up my own entrepreneurial business. And I would have set up an independent business if I'd had a good idea and this hadn't come about first. And when I saw this, I didn't know what franchising was, and I had to research that. That was my first protocol, was to go online and to find out what, get some brochures from the BFA and find out, what does franchising mean.
And do you remember what your perception of what franchising was before you started going into that kind of research mode, because you'd seen Baby College as a franchise?
I think the only ones that I was aware of were, the big ones like McDonald's, so
Yep.
restaurants.
Yep.
I had been aware of sort of cleaning franchises and people like Molly Maid and some of
Yep.
the brands like that. I wasn't, I think I knew that Tumble Tots was run as a franchise, but I
Yep.
also thought that franchises were big operations. So I didn't imagine that, somebody who wanted to work part-time with children half the time could be a franchisee and could run a franchise. I didn't know they could be that small, for example.
Yeah. So that's the learning curve you went through. And so you did all this research and you ended up deciding, yes,
Yeah,
Baby College is the right business
absolutely.
for
And we
me.
went about, they'd gone about it really well. They'd set it up really well in the first place. And we did a really, really good business plan. We spent I actually, I bought into it in 2004 with a friend.
Yeah.
So there were two of us, and we together we had different backgrounds. So she was had an accountancy background, and I had more of a music, project management, and complete baby nerd background. So and a little bit of teaching. So so we were quite complementary, and we put together a really great business plan, really detailed, which is really important. It's very, very important as a franchisee that you do really good due diligence. You're responsible for making sure that this is the right opportunity and that it's going to work in your area. So
So so you say you're one of the first. Were you effectively like a pilot? Were you part of that first wave, I'm guessing, of franchisees, which no matter how well you're set up, you're always going to learn from those first few. So were you part of that?
so there
That
was one, there was their original territory that they'd been running themselves, which they sold.
Yeah.
And there was one pilot area that I think they sold for a lower cost to get, to test out the concept. And then they did a big marketing campaign. And there was no social media in those days, don't forget. So there was not even any Facebook. So they were marketing in Primary Times was the main one to reach parents with school-age children. And they did so we were the first wave of big training session. There were five of us taken on at the same time, so that would bring the numbers up to 7.
Yeah, right. I've got a copy of Primary Time sat on the kitchen
I
table
know.
right now. So
Oh,
yeah, so it's funny. I was paging through it actually. So there you
yeah.
go. So all right. So tell me, after that, so you've become a franchisee and you're getting the business up and running, and it's obviously going well.
Yeah.
How long was that period in your life where you were a franchisee of Baby?
Well, I know that one of the questions that you might possibly be asking me later is one of the biggest hurdles or challenges. Well, for us, it was that roughly 6 or 7 months after we launched, and our classes were doing okay. Actually, it's always quite hard at the beginning. First term was a struggle, but we were really making a go of it, and parents were loving it. But after 6 or 7 months, the franchisors walked out on us. So that was my first big challenge in my
Wow.
business. Was I was basically effectively left as de facto franchisor, and we took ownership. I took the existing franchisees took ownership of the business at that point. And to be
Okay.
honest, it was basically me that was running it from then. So
And so okay. So how did that happen? Like, why did that happen? Because it was
so
obviously a good business, and so
it was a great business. So okay, that's a top tip for anyone thinking about going into franchising. If you're working with other people, make sure that you are going in the same direction and that you want the same things out of your business. So think ahead a little bit. What is your longer term plan? Don't jump into it because it's a great idea and then realize that one of you wants to take on lots of debt and grow really fast, and one of you wants to be really cautious, grow organically, and because they want to retire in a few years' time. So yes, perhaps don't. There's a lesson to be learned from our previous franchisors that they were fantastic. They did an amazing job, and I can't fault anything about the program really. But yes, they perhaps hadn't really quite aligned themselves together, and they were working together without realizing they actually wanted different things.
and so how many franchisees were there at the time when that happened? When the
There
franchise
was,
law
yeah,
of, yeah,
there were seven.
seven. And
Yes.
and how did you go about pulling all of you together and almost getting in a huddle and saying we're
So
okay?
something that I feel I'm quite good at is getting people to work together. So um, we really had to all get together, decide what we were going to do. Two people decided to stop immediately. They didn't want to continue without the support of a sort of a franchisor,
Yeah.
official franchisor at that point. Five people wanted to continue. So effectively, like I said, I think I said before the call, I've been a franchisee. I've almost effectively been an independent business. So
Yeah.
we really did run Baby College Oxford as an independent business within a group of other people running alongside and with a shared website and things for about 10 years.
Right. Okay. So you almost went from a franchisee to becoming a corporate site, which is an independent, really. And
Yeah, I mean, we owned the trademark, so
yeah,
we owned
yeah,
all of the IP.
yeah.
But yes, we were running with no support, so we did it ourselves.
Wow. Okay. And from then you obviously had to learn a whole new business model because as a franchisor, being a franchisor is a very different business to being a franchisee or running an independent business. And
Definitely in at the deep end. Yeah,
yeah,
like you're on your own. You've got to make all these decisions. But to be honest, I relish the challenge. So I think again, if you want to be a franchisor, you have to be somebody that loves a challenge, rises to a challenge. It's what gets you up in the morning. So it was exciting as well because we had the business established. It was starting to go well. I felt confident that we would be fine to continue to run it. I could see opportunities to develop the initial program that we'd been given. So spent and also I thought it was a great opportunity to really sort of make this the best program that it can be. So spent 10 years teaching classes successfully in Oxford and running a successful small business in Oxford while my kids grew up, and developing the program to the program it is today, which is much different. You'd recognise that Baby College is in there, but it's much bigger and more comprehensive than it was then. So, and yes, really did prove the concept. 10 years of proving that it works in
yeah.
Oxford. It's a very well proven model.
And how long did it take then, as a franchisor, before you, I guess, gained the confidence to go out and attract new people to become franchisees?
So it wasn't really a case of confidence. I think if I'd had to go out and find and sort of market, although I didn't really probably wouldn't have known what I was doing at that point. I think it was something that we could have grown at that point, and I think in with hindsight, because it's great hindsight, isn't it? Thinking what would I have done differently? I might have launched it earlier, but I'm glad I didn't because I got to spend that time working part time and letting giving my children the best parenting that I could, which I was torn. I was torn because I wanted the business to be really successful and grow, but I was also just trying to put the brakes and say, no, I have to do what I'm teaching all my parents to do, which is to be a good parent and to really nurture my own children. So it was really a case of waiting until my children were, teenagers before feeling like now I have the space. This is the right time to relaunch as a franchise, sort out all of the loose ends, and launch it properly again. So 2015, it was relaunched fully as a franchise.
Wow. Okay. And how have you gone since then, B? Like what from 2015 to present day? Look, we all know there's been challenges in that time, lots actually.
Yeah,
And I think everyone's aware of what they all are now. But
they are.
where are you at as a network, in terms of
Yeah,
size?
yeah, it's going
And
well. I mean, I'm sure there are companies that have grown more slowly, and there are companies that have grown more quickly. It's been you probably the initially could still be described a little bit as organic growth, but there was definitely a plan not to take on lots of debt. I didn't want to do it that way. It's not that type of business. So the initial 5 areas that had been running for 10 years at the point in 2015, there was one of the ladies that wanted to retire. So we sold her area to our first new franchisee, 2015. The And gradually I've actually bought out everybody. So it's now just me, the franchisor. I'm talking about loose ends. But it's sort of been a natural, it's been at a time when somebody wanted to retire, a time when somebody wanted to move on and do something else, and the next person wanted to move on and do something else. Um, so from the initial sort of, there were 3 areas really established and been running in 2015. There are now 22 areas in the UK, and there are 7 areas internationally. So it's been a reasonably busy growth. The pandemic didn't really hit us too badly. We pivoted really well, but it probably slowed our growth a little bit. So we're hoping now that it's going to start growing again at the speed that we intended to before that.
No, so, B, there's something to be said. I mean, we see it all the time. You can you can look at numbers and you can put numbers on franchisees and say, oh, we want to bring on 10, 15, 20 franchisees a year and grow like that. But it's a big mistake to look at it that way. I mean, you need to set some goals, of course, but way more important is sustainable growth, and sustainable growth in franchising is about finding the right people. That's the absolute key. And you've got to find those right people, and it's
Yeah, no,
always
you're absolutely
preferential.
right.
Oh, it's it is. I'd
Quality,
say
not quantity.
totally. I would say to any franchisor out there, and look, we help franchisors find franchisees, right? So it kind of goes against, if I'm on a sales side over here, I'm kind of going against what my sales self is saying. What I would always say to franchisors is, look, you can aim to get 10 new franchisees in a year or in a 12-month period, but far better is to get 5, and those 5 really go on and just do great. They're profitable and they run a good business, and they have a certain independence to them. Yes, they need the support, but also that they can think for themselves as well. That 5 is way better than a mixture of 10. And you might hit some goals in a KPI spreadsheet, but it's not about that. It's about what can those 5 do. And there's no doubt to me that those 5 will achieve far more and help the brand way more than the 10 you might have taken on if that had been your focus as a goal. So look,
You are completely right. I mean, these are all lessons I've learned from experience that I know now. That yes, I mean, perhaps if somebody had given me that advice 10 years ago, then I wouldn't have made some of the mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, and you learn from them, and then you move on. And I think the pandemic, interestingly, had some big pros that came out of it, like really getting people talking to each other. I mean, I think I've learned that. I mean, I read the other day that competition is something that happens at the bottom, and collaboration is something that happens at the top. So I think if you're confident that you're doing a good job, I think it's really great to collaborate with other people and learn from them. And we've had some fantastic advice and consultancy, and yeah, it's really helped to get it all ship shape and enable us to be in a position to be able to grow with less pain.
Yeah, but no, B, I'm entirely aligned on that. What you say, collaboration at the high level with your competitors, or what other people might see as your competitors. I just think that is amazing, and I never see it more than in the children's activities area. It's unbelievable, the
It's a
collaboration.
friendly sector. It
Oh,
really is a very friendly sector.
it is, like, in a way you're all competing to be honest, for certainly in a cost of living crisis, parents are making decisions about where to spend the money on their child development. And is that sport, is it this, is it that, is it music? I mean, there's so many things out there, I know, as a parent. So you are all competing, but I just see the collaboration. It's done in the absolute best possible way.
Well, I know.
It's
You're right, and because we all actually have the same underlying aim.
yeah.
What we all want is for the benefit of parents and little ones and babies and children and the future generations. And the majority of people working in the Children's Activity Centre are parents themselves, not everybody, but it's something that you're doing it because you really care about it. You're not it's a different business from a lot of businesses. It isn't just about the bottom line financially.
Yeah.
It really is more about what you can achieve, and leaving a little bit of a legacy, ideally.
No, that it shines through. Everyone in the you know, in that children's activity sector, if you want to kind of lump it into one big sector name, it's exactly the same. You know, it's about the children. Like first and foremost is how to help the children. Obviously, the parents go hand in hand with that. You've put it so well yourself with
I
baby
know. So
college.
I'm getting so old now. I think of the parents as children as well. I mean,
No,
the
it's exactly. But
new parents need nurturing. I mean, my new franchisees, they need nurturing. I feel like it's the, you know, the franchisees are helping new parents, but you know, I'm helping the franchisees who are new franchisees. So it's all about, you know, everyone helping somebody else. You know, and it'll all filter down to, you know, everyone being more confident, you know, enjoying being a parent, better educated, better developed children. And I mean, something that I'm really passionate about is extending the reach of our program, because it's amazing to a wider audience. So, you know, we're doing a research project with Goldsmiths, UCL and Middlesex, where we're actually being able to reach more vulnerable families, so underserved communities, people who would never go to a baby college or any class in normal circumstances. And I really want to extend that, and I'm really hoping that we're going to have a charity called the Little Seed Project coming out of that. So there's so many other aspects to it that I'm now able to do because I've got to this position. So yes, it's really important to me to stick to the science, to make sure that the program is the best it can be, and to try and make sure that as many families are going to be able to benefit from it in the future as possible.
okay, so yeah, let's spend a little bit of time on that Little Seed Project, because that sounds amazing what you're doing there.
Yeah.
What's the ultimate kind of aim around that? And I know you're going through that and working with these great, you know, great colleges and brands. But what's the ultimate goal or aim there, and how
So
will it benefit
it's
parents that couldn't
it's
afford
sprung out
otherwise?
of a research project that we're doing with Goldsmiths, like I said, Goldsmiths, UCL, and Middlesex, so three different London universities. And so I'm a PhD supervisor along with four others, four academics from those universities. And Baby College is the industrial collaborator. We're using our program as part of the scientific research. We're 4 years into a 5-year research project, so the results are starting to come in. They're looking very, very positive. So the aim of the project, it has a very specific scientific aim, that it's looking at music and language. I can't tell you too much about that because it's not been published yet. But they're also looking more generally and holistically at the benefit of classes like Baby College for parents and little ones, and their attachment, and their children's development. So, and you know, like I said, it's looking very positive. I think we all have a feeling that classes and activities and stimulation and signing and dancing and singing and music and sensory is good for babies and good for families. But it'd be amazing if we can have some scientific proof of that. And then the researcher who's working on the project and Baby College, me, we're very keen to take it forward after the project is finished as the Little Seed Project, as a charity. So to set it up as a charity with the aim of enabling families that perhaps can't afford or were not aware of classes to be able to get the benefit of classes. In what direction that ends up going, I can't possibly tell you now. We have lots of ideas, and we have lots of lovely other companies and academics who are really keen to support that. So we've got lots of really great people on board and enthusiastic already. But it will. I mean, even if we only help the 130 families that we're currently working with, that's a great start. But and obviously, if it can grow and it could be something that's adopted more widely, that would be amazing.
Oh, brilliant! Well, no, best of luck. Best of luck with that and getting to the end of the 5 years, and be very, very interested to see how that
It is.
how the
It's
results come
separate from
through.
Baby College, the franchise, in a
Yeah,
way, but some of the
yeah,
franchisees are involved in the project, and it's just it does, you know, it really highlights the importance of children's activities, of you know, of parents, the importance of parents, and the importance of the involvement of parents in their, you know, in their babies starting early education. it's the sort of thing that the Princess of Wales is obviously very much involved in now as well, and hopefully, you know, it'll come from lots of different sources, but that message will get across that you know, the early years is absolutely critical.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, to anyone listening, B, who's interested in finding out more for whatever reason, it might be maybe they want to, maybe it's a business they can absolutely see themselves doing, like you saw back, you know, back all that time ago, or maybe that they're really interested in the Little Seed kind of idea of that project and that scientific research, and maybe helping out if possible. Where's the best place you would say they should go and get access to
Well,
some
it's all signposted from our babycollege.co.uk website, of course, but the Little Seed Project does have its own website. So if you Googled the Little Seed Project, then you'd be able to find it quite easily that way as well.
Okay, brilliant. All right. Well, no,
just contact me and ask me.
there you go. So I suppose one of the last questions I wanted to ask was, as a franchisor, and yes, you're in the middle of the journey, and it's an ongoing one, but what does success really mean to you as a franchisor? So not as a business owner, not as a potential charity in the future helping people, but what does success overall look like for you as a franchisor?
So, I mean, it is figures, but it's not necessarily financial figures. It's really, I mean, I measure it by how many families, you know, how many families did a baby college class this week, or, you know, how many children have we reached? How many families loved it so much that they've renewed for the next term? You know, great testimonials coming back from family customers who come to classes, great testimonials coming back from franchisees who are running their business. So if I can enable other parents to have a sort of a career that fits in as well with their children growing up as mine did with mine, then I feel like I've done a good job. I feel like that is success. It gives me loads of reward. It's you know, it couldn't be more rewarding, really. You know, it just being able to have a job that you've loved, you know, for 19 years. What's to argue with that? I mean, the job I had previously, working in software with creating educational software for mobile phone salesmen. I mean, I'm so glad I'm not still doing that. This is something I just, you know, I really care about, and to be honest, if it's successful, great, that's a bonus.
Yeah, well, and it seems as being very successful, and it's only gonna grow, B. And I think the key thing for me is the foundations seem to have been laid really, really well, and the future is bright for Baby College, not just here, but globally maybe one day. And
Well, no, like I said, we have 7 franchisees abroad. Baby College is in Canada and Turkey and Bulgaria and Georgia and Oman.
well,
So,
there you go.
and
Yeah.
it was in Zimbabwe too.
Oh, was
There
it?
was actually a Baby College Zimbabwe, so I know that's where you're
Wow.
from originally.
It
Um,
is. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and then unfortunately during the pandemic, she had to move to South Africa, so that was the end of that.
Oh,
But
that was the end of
yeah,
that.
we'll
Okay.
get back there one day.
Okay, so you are already a part global brand. That's amazing, B. And what does um in the UK? So if we look at the UK, what's the potential for baby colleges around the country? Like, how much potential is there? Like, is it hundreds? Is it how do you see it in terms of franchisees or numbers of franchisees or business owners? What does that look like?
I mean, the potential with the model that we're currently running, where, you know, obviously you sell a franchise territory to a new franchisee, you know, the country's mapped into, you know, 150 territories that are viable territories. That obviously, if it gets really successful, you can then create more territories because the brand is well known nationally. But there are also, I mean, there are more opportunities really for a brand like Baby College. And we're actually looking more into how we can take the brand into nursery and to a nursery setting as well. But again, as I've sort of done Baby College like it is now, I'm going to be doing it well and carefully and doing it in the right way. So it's not something that I'm going to rush. Needs to be done, needs to be the best. So Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity. I would love it. I would absolutely love it if obviously there was help from the government and they decided that it was a great program and that really babies would benefit from it. You know, it all if from all demographics, because any activity that parents have to pay for, obviously you're limiting your market, aren't you? So
Well, will be good research projects carried out well, can lead to that kind of a thing. So, you know,
who knows?
that's who knows what the future holds there. But and that will help a lot more businesses than just yours. That kind of
Yeah,
thing. So,
yeah.
but Bea, look, thanks so much for coming on today. I really appreciate your time and get to know you a bit. And you know,
That's all right. I mean, I hope I make it clear that franchises come in all sizes and shapes. So, you know, you can be a franchisee of a business that you do 36 weeks of the year, you know, 9 classes a week. Still a franchise. You're running your own business, you know, all the way up to, you know, you could be running a McDonald's franchise with 3 territories or something. That's huge. So, you know, franchises aren't all just one size, are they?
No, and I think that's a really good point to make. I think anyone that looks into franchising as a potential for their own business, you're right. There's so much flexibility there. There's so many different investment levels and types that
Mm.
it's just a case of taking your time and seeing what might fit, and then doing your due diligence and research and everything else.
Yeah, that's
And
true. But I think
yeah,
yeah, my overriding like sort of summary really is do something you really care about.
yeah, I think that helps. I think that's very good advice. And and we'll end on that tip. Do something you love and enjoy. I think that's, you can't go wrong from that starting point.
Not
So,
really.
um, all right, okay, Bea. Well, listen, lovely chatting, and yeah, we
No,
will
thanks very much for
see
having
you around.
me.
No problem. All
Always
right,
happy to talk about babies.
and I'm happy to talk about franchising all day, Bea. So, you know, there you go. All right, see you later.